What's up everyone? In this video today, I'm going to be continuing my most common mistakes in trap shooting series and talk about how to read your brakes. See you in a second. Alright, so the ability to read your brakes is something that I think a lot of people, especially new people, don't really take advantage of. So what I mean by reading your brakes is reading where you're braking the target at. So this is something that a coach of mine taught me a long time ago whenever I first started shooting ATA competitively, and it really helps you because once you learn this, you can actually avoid missing and understand that, hey, even though I hit that target, I actually made a mistake. So because I know I made a mistake, I can make sure I don't do it on the next target. Whereas if you don't know how to read your brakes, you may have made a mistake and you hit the target, but you didn't know that you made the mistake. So you don't get the chance to correct it, and so maybe it costs you a target there. So it's something that can definitely help you out a lot. So let's kind of go ahead and get into how this works and how to read your brakes exactly. So what I'm looking for whenever I go to brake the target is a hard black smoke ball. I want to see that every time. Whenever that target breaks, I want to see it just a big old puff of black smoke come out. If you had a chance to watch some of the really great shooters, some of the really high-level All-American shooters, the Hall of Fame shooters, the guys that are just annually at the top of our sport, if you get a chance to sit down and watch them, almost every target they shoot at, they brake really, really hard. It just turns to black smoke. There's not really that many big chips left on the target, and there's just a difference in the quality of the brakes compared to watching somebody that maybe hasn't quite worked up to that level yet. So an example of how this works. Let's say that I get a straightaway and I break the bottom off of the target. Okay, so that means that, let's use a black ring target as an example because I think that's going to be the easiest thing to picture. Let's say I just break that black ring totally off the target, but the orange just flies. So you have the complete bottom broke off the target and the orange is flying away. So that tells me that I wasn't perfectly in the center of the target because it didn't turn into a big smoke ball. So obviously this can be a lot of things. I could have picked my head off the gun, which caused me to stop my follow through. I could have just stopped my follow through, or I could have had my hold point too low, or then again I could have had my eye set point wrong. So this does take some experience and trial and error, if you will, to be able to figure out, okay, maybe for example on me, a lot of times if I chip the bottom out of the target, it's because I had my hold point too low. So how you learn that is experience and trial and error and understanding both what you're good at and what you're not good at, so that you can improve those weaknesses into things that you're really good at. Like I said in my example, I broke the bottom off of it. Well, maybe, like I said, I stopped my follow through. So if I'm somebody that tends to stop my follow through a lot, that tells me, hey, I stopped it at the bottom of the target. So you're constantly thinking and adjusting throughout the shot so that you can be better on the next one. Thinking, did I follow through well? Did I keep my head on the gun? I know we talked about the rule of 3, and I'll link that video at the end of this one, and how important that is to know. And for me, I have 3 concepts I know. If I make a mistake, it's really likely it's going to be one of those 3 things. Now in that video I clarified, for some people maybe 1 concept, for some people maybe 5. Everybody has their own number, if you will, but for me personally it's 3. So keeping my head on the gun and following through is one of those 3 kind of combined. And so for me, whenever I chip the bottom of the target, that's a good indicator to tell me, maybe I didn't follow through, or maybe I didn't set my hold point right. Like I said, if I'm chipping the bottom out, that's a pretty good indicator for me. But if I get a hard left, and let's say I chip the back side out of it, so target's going this way, let's say I just hit the back quarter of the target and the rest of it goes flying off, that tells me I probably didn't follow through because it's a hard left target. And normally I don't struggle with my hold point as much whenever I'm on post 1 or 2. It's going to be on post 3 or post 4 most of the time for me. Whenever I struggle is if I have a hold point issue, especially post 3 more than likely. But if I'm over on post 1 and I'm thinking, okay, I chipped the back side of that target, I see that it's almost like I didn't get out there far enough to really smoke it. that's telling me that I probably did not follow through for me personally. Now, I'm not saying that's always going to be the case for you necessarily. Like I said, you have to kind of know your weaknesses so that you can know more than likely what you did wrong. And eventually, once you do this enough, guys, you get to the point that you can just kind of get a feel for it. You know, you feel, okay, I short swung that target, I didn't follow through, or I picked my head up off the gun, or I didn't have my whole point set right. But what reading your breaks does is it gives you the ability to correct those mistakes before it costs you a target. So reading your breaks is very integral to anybody breaking great scores. I know personally I've seen times where it's helped me to gain 4 or 5 targets out of 100, you know, just because I had the ability to understand I made a mistake on that target, I still hit it, but I can prevent the big mistake of missing a target because now I understand, oh, you know, for example, I didn't follow through on that target. I can correct that by the time the next target comes around, hopefully without missing it. So try this out sometime. You know, like I said, it's going to be something that's going to take some time, take some experience and practice to work on, and, you know, really analyze, okay, am I not following through? Do I have my whole point? You know, all those problem areas that it could go wrong potentially, and you have to kind of narrow those down to a few that, okay, these are the ones that I really need to work on. These are my most common mistakes. How can I really keep in my mind? How can I stay aware while I'm going to the target of, am I doing that right? If you can solve that puzzle for you, that's going to help you out a lot, because once you learn to read your breaks, you're going to have the ability to correct your mistakes before it costs you a target most of the time. Now, obviously, you know, we all still miss sometimes, but it's going to minimize, if you will, your number of misses, because, you know, just the ability to correct and to get that straight in your head that I can make that adjustment is worth a lot. And it's something that takes time. I know for me, it probably took around 3 years for me to learn my breaks really solidly. You know, 3 years of hard shooting, 3 years of hard practice. Now, granted, I can be a little bit of a slow learner sometimes. You know, some of you guys may learn it next time you go out to the club, but, you know, it takes a little bit of time to get proficient at it for most people. And, you know, maybe not quite a few years, maybe a little bit more than a few years for some people. It just depends on, you know, your experience level and then how much you get in the shoot and all that. So thank you guys so much for watching today. You can subscribe here. I'd really appreciate it if you did that. Here's the rule of 3 video I talked about. Be sure and check that out. I think that concept ties to this one really well. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great rest of your day.